All right, what's going on, everybody? I'm Blitz5, back with another patch notes video. It's sort of become tradition for me to record a longer video going over all of the major updates. And obviously, this is going to be a big one because this is a new season. We have the introduction of Season 8 coming soon, and obviously the end of Season 7 along with that. So this is technically update 8.1, and we got some major stuff, as always, with this update. But one of the biggest things is that we're seeing a remastered version of Sanik, which has been a bunch of leaks about this, posting some videos on my channel. If you've been following PUBG, I'm sure you've seen this all over the interwebs. And like always, people are excited for the new season. I feel like this always brings up some hype with everybody. But this one in particular, PUBG is on some solid momentum post the downfall of the launch of bots. It was kind of like a downtime or down period for PUBG. Then kind of a comeback period with the bots getting better, ranked being implemented, a lot of good changes, a lot of good responses to the community. I feel like people feel like they're being listened to and the changes are being made. The performance is much better, at least on console. So I feel like PUBG's on a big upswing, and this is a very crucial update for them, but pretty much every update is that way. So in typical fashion, this is 8.1, and then the next update will be 8.2, and then usually the final update of the season, if they're following their normal trajectory, will be 8.3, and then we'll head into Season 9. But before we get that far into it, let's start off with what PUBG has to say about Season 8. So Season 8 is soon here and brings massive changes to the island of Sanik, a new way to gear up with the loot truck, the start of the next rank season, a new survivor pass, and loads more. Update 8.1 has plenty to offer, so let's get right into it. And just to let you guys know, I've read through this a couple times and now I'm deciding to record the video. So this is going to go live on PC on July 22nd and is heading to the test servers tomorrow. As I record today's video, it's July 14th. So this is going to the PC PTS, the public test server, on the 15th. And then we'll have to find out, and we'll have to wait to find out if we're going to get a PTS on console and when exactly all this is happening. But right now, it's scheduled to be live on PC on July 22nd and live on console on July 30th. Those are the dates that they've been promoting. So we have the remaster of Sanik. And this makes sense. We were talking about this. I love Sanik. To me, it's one of my favorite maps, but a lot of people find this map to be frustrating in ranked. It definitely is frustrating because the squad rotations are so difficult. I love this map as a solo or duo player and even squads. But for me, this map was always great as a solo player because you could get looted up. There was plenty of hot drops. There was a ton of action. So I always enjoyed that and a lot of cover. But for a lot of people, they thought that cover was too dense and allowed people to snake and just get snuck up on all the time and people hiding in bushes. So, you know, this hopefully will alleviate some of those issues responding to that. And it seems like they already have. So boot camp has been completely reworked, excuse me. So this is good and bad, right? Boot camp, in actuality, these places are kind of a cluster F. And I feel like there's some overpowered spots to boot camp, or there's some like weak spots and powerful spots to boot camp if you land there. So hopefully them reworking this will alleviate that a little bit. But again, I think people might be sad to see the old school boot camp go, but I think it needs to be changed a little bit to be put into this remastered version. So here's some images of that. But this still will remain a major hotspot place, I'm sure. Then we have changes to Quarry, which I think this is a great change. I really like Quarry. I've always enjoyed this Quarry more than the one in Erangel. And I just like the style of it, but it is very open. So they're trying to fix that and give people an opportunity to go here and not feel like they're just going to get preyed upon from people above the quarry or on the ground level. So with that, they've added in some more cover and these rope bridges. And again, it just looks more realistic, which I think is really cool. And then this is an interesting change here. They've got rid of Magnai. I'm not sure how you pronounce that location. This is a spot that I feel like a lot of people, they said not that many people went here, and I totally believe that because I would land in this area and usually not see too many people here. But if you were looking to get away and land by yourself and just have a good looting opportunity, this was always a great spot to go to. And occasionally I'd see another team going here for looking for the same opportunity. So this is getting removed. And I guess overall this makes sense because I love what they're doing with this change. So what they're doing is they're making this an airfield, and they're actually going to have a chance to have a motor glider spawn in this area. So I want to see what they said here again, rereading this. This is the only place on Sanik you can find it, so grab a gas can and take to the skies. And I think I don't know if there's going to be one spawn or two. I thought I read somewhere there's only going to be one potential spawn, but it looks like there's two here. But with the gliders and all the vehicles in the game, if, you know, it's not always a guaranteed spawn there. On the normal maps, I think there's like 40 spawn. On Erangel Miramar, I think there's 40 glider spawns, but only 10 spawn. So it'll be interesting to see if there's 2 spawn locations and maybe there's like a, I don't know, 25 to 50% chance that every match has a glider or something like that. But this is really cool. It gives you an actual reason to go to this area and then fly around on the glider. Like this could become a hot drop just for people going for the glider. And this is something that I've been talking about that, you know, so many great, I've been saying this for like literally a year with PUBG, that so many of the best locations, in my opinion, are on the outskirts of the map. On Vikendi, there's really interesting locations on Miramar, on Sanik, but you just kind of get penalized for going there if the circle rotates really far away from you or starts really far away from you. So I feel like there's more of an incentive to land more in the center of the map for easier rotations. So putting things like this in the game on the outskirts of the map, like the glider, kind of gives someone incentive to go here. It could become a hot drop, so it's just fun to go to. And if no one goes there, you'll at least have the glider to fly into the circle if it goes all the way to like the bottom left corner of the map, because this is on the bottom, I mean, top right side of the map. So I know I'm kind of harping on this, but just something I find really interesting. Same thing with docks here. So docks was always kind of a hot drop, I thought, like in that area. I didn't like going here because I just felt like this is a great way to lose the teammate, because it's just very narrow and you could easily, you know, lose track of an enemy and then one of your teammates gets taken out and then you have to wait 20 minutes for the game to end, or you might just die off the bat. And they're turning this into the party zone. So this location probably is going to be just as much as a cluster F potentially, but maybe this will draw some more people to go here. I actually don't really know why they did this. You know, well, let's see what they said. The old docks were fun, but generally were low in the loot department. I don't know. I mean, maybe for multiple teams going there, but if for 2 teams, there's plenty of loot, I thought. Especially for a drop that far away. That's true. It's so far away that it was such a pain to get into the circle. That's totally true, but the party zone doesn't change that. And then they said they're replacing it with this. So yeah, I still think that like this needs a more of an incentive to go here, maybe more boats. Like it would have been cool if this was a dock area with you knew there was going to be a ton of boats there, and you fought over that area, so then you could drive the boats into the circle. I don't know. And then Ruins is getting an updated look. This is awesome. What I like about this is not only are they improving the look and making it more realistic, they're improving the area around of it, because if you guys know playing, I used to go here all the time, that once leaving Ruins, some of this area was really open and there is like a mountain right behind here. I think they might be keeping that, but they said they're going to be updating the area around it so there's more cover getting to and from the Ruins. Like if a team was on the corners of the walls here or on the towers, they could easily take you out trying to push Ruins. There's some rocks, but there just wasn't a lot of great cover. Some of the trees here are really thin and really wouldn't help you if you were trying to push a team that was kind of locked in Ruins. So that's cool. And then the mountain here, this is a major change. It's hard to understand how much the mountain has changed because of all the images. You know, you almost need to see a video of the mountain. So the mountainous area in Sanik has been a problem area for a long time. A lot of players complain about this. And they're saying here that they're just explaining that players could get caught up here with the blue zone or couldn't get up because of the blue zone. Obviously, it's so steep that it would create some issues with angles, and people at the top would definitely have an advantage. So they're trying to fix that with the mountain, but no clear indicator of whether they've lowered the mountain. That was rumored that they might be lowering it. We'll just have to see when this comes out or more video footage comes out of the mountain, but here's before and after. Then we have the cave. So this is cool. Basically, what it seemed like happened here is that this was a awesome idea, but they kind of just were implementing it as fast as they could into the game. Now with the remaster, they were able to go back in and add more of a legitimate secret temple, probably make this more of the lore, make it a more complex area, which is really cool. And it gives them more time with the remaster to really do things. Kind of like when they remastered Vikendi, they were saying they wanted, or when they first brought out Vikendi, they said that they wanted to look at doing a movable train, but they didn't really have time to. So when they remastered it, they were actually able to fit that in. They mentioned that in the remastered video behind the scenes of Vikendi. So I think them going back enables them to literally remake the map from the ground up, make it better performance, and fill in areas where, you know, they maybe didn't have time to do. Now, I'm sure PUBG is a bigger like development team now, and they're probably more experienced with what they're doing. So that's awesome for them. And then this is really interesting. So the river, there's a ton of changes with the river. And I always felt like Sanik was the perfect opportunity to make a map with a lot of like river crossings, because there are a lot of rivers in Sanik, but they're so like awkwardly sized in the current form that it's hard to cross them. Like you walk some area, then you swim, but then you just get stuck. So here, look at the how narrow they've made the rivers now. And this is really cool. It's got kind of the muddy waters vibe, which fits perfectly into the new kind of color scheme and style of Sanhok. And there's a lot of bridges now. There's increased amount of bridges, but look at this. You can just run right through, hopefully, or drive right through. And this is going to be really awesome. I like this. And I don't know if you could get a boat through here, maybe an aqua rail, but it does seem like the aqua rails are still going to be on the map, which is pretty cool. And then some images here of just Pain and Cow, Sami, and Kampong, letting us know that they're still in the game, but they've just been reworked a little bit. And definitely some of the styles have been changed, and they're adding some more verticality to the map, or to these locations, which is cool. Doesn't seem like anything's too high, just making it a little bit more elaborate. And then the unfortunate removal of Bond. They even admit, like, this is a really cool location, but, you know, unless you were just going here for fun, in all honesty, this was just a really awkward spot to loot. And, you know, interesting cover, because you could actually kind of use the trees for shade and cover. But from a looting perspective and shooting in and out of this, it just wasn't very pleasant. So I'm glad that they're getting rid of this. And I was examining this image for a little bit here. Let's just zoom in. You know, I like the way that the new Sanhok grass looks, and you can see that they've put in some rocks here and the walls. So, like, definitely considering the cover to attack and push in any direction, which I really like. You can see there's some good rocks here if you're making this push. Like, you can easily see what's going on here. Like, this sniper tower in this building has a sight line. If you want to push, you're going to wrap around to the left, maybe wrap around to the right. And if you're pushing to this compound, you could use these rocks rock to the wall. So they're making it looks like pathways sort of for you to push in and out of places. And they mentioned that somewhere in the post, but I forget where when I was reading it. All right, so back to the update. We have the new feature, the loot truck. This is not something that I saw really coming, because at first when it was leaked, Player IGN and people online said it was going to be a gun truck. So then I looked into gun trucks, found gun trucks from Vietnam, people riding on the back of trucks with heavy machine guns. So I thought this was going to be more of like a specialized BRDM, or sort of like a truck that goes around the map with a gun on it. I didn't know that it was going to be loot related. Some people thought this, but you just never know. There's a lot of theories online. And this ends up being a loot truck. So this is going to be basically kind of like the Vikendi train. It just goes around the map at set locations. I think it spawns, they said, in 4 different garages throughout the map. It leaves, drives around, and then as you shoot this thing, it will drop loot. But they said that it actually takes a lot of shots to proc that loot drop. And but what's interesting is this loot is going to be extremely rare. So it's going to be skinned guns that are already attached or already have equipped with attachments. So I thought that was kind of weird. That reminded me of Call of Duty, and to me that was kind of out of the blue. And then if the truck is destroyed, I think more loot is going to come out, and then a new truck will be spawned from the garage. And they said that this takes a serious amount of damage. So if you're shooting this thing, you know, people are going to hear you in the jungle. So then my first thought was that with Sanhok, there's going to be, you know, you could always hear people fighting because it's one of the smallest maps. Then with the gun truck, there's going to be more firing. And then with the decoy nade, there's going to be even more firing. So maybe this is part of the whole thing with the gun truck, people using decoy grenades. I'm sure they've thought about something here where a lot of gunfire to kind of distract other players, or to confuse other players, or to trick them. So I will look forward to see what people do to kind of, you know, crazy plays that people do tricking other players, what I'm trying to say here. So then the loot here can be damaged with weapons and throwables, which takes reduced damage compared to other vehicles due to its heavy armor. And you can see, I guess, if you're in a vehicle and you're trying to drive into this thing, it's going to be like the train. It's just going to move you right out of the way, or possibly blow up your vehicle. And I'm sure if you're standing in the way, you would definitely get run over. And then just reconfirming what I said before, that the exclusive weapons are pre-skinned, specially named weapons decked out with attachments. And when the loot truck explodes, gives access to a large amount of top-tier loot. Wow. Including possible exclusive weapon loot. I mean, I just don't know what that means exactly, you know, so that's going to be interesting. Loot trucks do not currently spawn in ranked matches. And we have Sanhok balance update. The Panzerfaust has been added to the world loot, which I think is cool. I think the Panzer, the RPG, will make sense on this map, kind of like Karkin, at least to test it out, right? Unfortunately, the C4 has been removed. I guess maybe this wouldn't play right with the loot truck, but I didn't love hearing that, Vehicle spawns adjusted with some removed to facilitate the new loot truck routes. There's already not a lot of vehicles on Sanhok, so again, I don't know how that will play out as well either. Other changes, we have obviously, since Docs is getting removed, this has to be removed from TDM. Sanhok will be available in normal and ranked matches. So they're adding Vikendi, which we're going to talk about in a second, but I thought they'd be removing Sanhok from ranked, especially because it's new, and they're actually keeping it in. So that's interesting. Old Sanhok will no longer be available at all in any game modes. New Sanhok theme lobby and BGM has been added, and adjusted the fade effect of the blue zone. So they've been making some changes to the blue zone. I noticed that if you looked up, you could see this, which I kind of liked, but now it's faded to look more realistic. But really, we're in a game, in a battle royale game with a blue zone, so I kind of like this, but I guess that looks better. We have the new Survivor Pass. This season is called Payback. They're adjusting the XP that you can earn. You can actually earn more per day. I'm going to skip through these because this isn't, in my opinion, that important, like XP stuff. You play, you do the missions, you get all your stuff that you want, hopefully. It looks like there is something that I want to talk about here, though. It looks like there's going to be some characters in the game. We got Lunchmeat, Duncan, Matt, and Julie. And then as you earn or complete their missions, you will actually get their skins. And I think this is going to play into the storyline, I guess. And interesting, I mean, this could be, I mean, who knows? I still think we're going to see a storyline, and these could be characters that we may see in the future of the PUBG story, or, you know, just lore in terms of videos, or maybe even playable story. I guess we'll see in the future. And we got challenge missions, and then also players can earn 600 XP per hour and up to 7,200 per day. The gas cans are finally coming back into the game. So this was something that we saw in 7.2, where you can actually pour out the gas cans and then light them on fire. So what's interesting about this is, I forget if gas cans were always in the game, but gas cans were in the game. Not that important. I think they were. You could always refuel vehicles, but the vehicles had a lot of fuel. So then they lowered the vehicle fuel to make the gas cans more important. Then on top of that, they made the gas cans explodable to make them more, make more people want to grab them to try to set up like a trap. But in actuality, that's pretty difficult to do, and it's time consuming and risky. So then people didn't really use it that much. So then they made the gas cans fill up the glider. So now you really want gas cans, and now that the vehicles have less gas. So that's pretty important. And then to make the gas cans really have some value, now they're enabling you to pour them out and light them on fire, and hopefully do even more of a trap, a more practical trap, because this one is pretty interesting. They launched this, and then people were going crazy in training mode with this. And then they said they're taking it out due to some issues. And I think that because so many people were blowing up vehicles, like I was, and sending them across the map in training mode, they were trying to figure out a way to fit this in the game in a more appropriate way. And it seems like they've done that. So one of the issues they said is that the spilled fuel was too easy to be spotted, so making kind of pointless to try to do an ambush, right? Like you open a door and you just see fuel over the ground, you know some shit's about to go down, so you just get out of there. So they're gonna make this blend in a little bit more, and the fuel now splatters, so the area will light up more like a Molotov consistency. And then in training mode, we've decreased the number of gas cans and reduced how often they spawn, so I guess people can't just troll the whole time. And now you can equip the gas can in the melee slot, which you could do during that quick update. So we were able, again, if you didn't understand what I was saying, we were able to test this in the PTS, but it never went live. And fire deals the same damage as Molotov, but burns longer for 20 seconds. And the spilled fuel will evaporate in about 3.5 minutes. So it's a pretty good time frame where you could spill fuel in a path, say a really popular path in the grass. You could have one or two people spill a bunch of gas there for 3.5 minutes. You could basically gatekeep an area, right? That would be pretty interesting, to pour it along the blue zone of a path that you know people are going to be walking. You wait for about 3 minutes, a team comes in, you light it on fire, and it could lead to some really funny moments in the game, and maybe some kills, which would be really cool. You can also throw the gas cans as melee weapons. Once you throw them, you can't pick them back up. And the changes to gas can explosions deal less initial damage, max 40, which scales down with the distance from the explosion. Okay. Now sets a nearby area on fire. Okay, so there's a smaller explosion, but sets the area on fire. That's pretty cool. And then we have featured maps. So Sanhok is going to be a featured map until update 8.2, or unless there are matchmaking issues or community feedback where they'll drop it out, or maybe in some regions they'll drop it out early, but then it will revert back to just complete random, or full random as they're calling it. That's pretty cool. And then let's talk about ranked. There's a lot in this update. So again, I know this video is going to be a little bit longer, but this is going to be the second season of ranked, season 7 ranked, the inaugural season, which went live halfway through the season. So Vikendi's been added to the ranked pool. So now there will be 4 maps: Erangel, Miramar, New Sanhok, and Vikendi. Players will be given a soft reset, and then after 5 games, they will be placed again. Interesting to see how this works. Leaderboards will obviously be reset. Game mode updates. So right now, RP acquired based on players' performance will have to account for team placement rather than individual placement. So this was a big issue. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but basically ranked in season 7 is individual placement, which they explained there was some reasoning behind this, but also some issues with the full doing it with your team. One of the issues is leaving the match. Like, say you're playing with randoms, you die right off the bat, you leave, you go into another game, you've already started another ranked game. Say your team goes on to win that game. How do they assign you points when you're already in another ranked game? And it might seem easy to do, but from a coding perspective and from calculating all of your ranks and all of that stuff behind the scenes, it was more complex. PUBG explained this in a podcast that it was some issues that they were working on. So I've a lot of players, including myself, we've kind of become used to the individual placement, but it does suck to say make it to the top 10 of all players. So there's 64 total players. You make it to the top 10 with your team. Say you've been the major player for your team. You've done a lot of great work. You've covered your teammates. You got kills. You've got revives. You get taken out. You get 10th place, and then your team ends up winning, and they all get first place. So that's definitely a bummer, and they're going to be fixing this. So all you need to do is stay in the match, and if you're spectating, you will get the same placement as your team, and if you leave, you will get the placement that you got when you left the match or when you got knocked. I think they clarify that here. So when a player leaves the match, even though teammates are still alive, placement points will be calculated based on the team placement at that very moment. Okay, so you get your team placement at that very moment. So if you die 10th and your team is in 2nd and you just leave, then you'll get 2nd place. So that's interesting. And if you wait and they get 1st, then you'll get 1st. Then we're getting bonus kill points here when killing an enemy whose rank is higher than 5 divisions. So say silver 5, killing a gold 5 player will be able to earn bonus RP. The greater the difference in rank, the more RP granted to players. And then there is a RP growth rate adjustment. In order to have players reach the rank matching their skills, we've adjusted the RP growth rate 50% greater. So this is something I'm concerned about. I feel like people are already having a pretty easy time ranking up. It only really slows down in like platinum and diamond ranks. So if they're making this even easier for people to level up, I don't know exactly how I feel about this, but obviously we'll have to see the data, or maybe we never will. Maybe PUBG's looking at the data, but it'd be interesting to see the data to see where people end at the end of season 7, how many people play and stuff. I don't know if they'll ever show us that. The minimal survival mastery level has been moved to 40 from 20. This is really just to combat new players jumping right into ranked and people who are cheating, creating new accounts and just getting right back into ranked, which is nice. So I don't mind that increase. And then the ranked mode rule set update. We've made some ranked specific changes to the map, some additional changes across ranked mode as a whole. So they're adjusting the blue zone for Vikendi. The M249 and DBS are now going to spawn in ranked mode. These were not spawning in ranked mode. The Moisen Nagant is now spawned on Erangel Vikendi, which is just a reskin version of the K9. And then for some reason, they're adding a small amount of crossbows now in ranked. So this immediately reminded me of Beer Fridge, who's a player who mostly uses the crossbow. Shout out to him. I remember him making a joke that he's not going to play ranked because there's no crossbows. But then after playing ranked, I kind of realized why there aren't crossbows. I know it's a legitimate weapon. You can kill people with it. But just the odds of people taking it are so low. So then you're just kind of taking up a spot for a gun that someone actually is going to take and use into the end game. So I kind of liked that they didn't have those guns in the game. But if it's so small, I really don't think it's going to make a difference. And then vehicles can now spawn in the esports hard spawn locations. So in the esports, official esports, I think there's hard spawns that always spawn in those spots. So PUBG isn't going that far, but they're adding more vehicles by including additional spawns. But they're saying they're not always going to spawn. There's not a 100% chance. Motor gliders, the glider planes, are now spawning in ranked mode, which I was interested to see there. I love the glider, and I'm happy that it's coming to ranked. But again, I don't know if I would risk flying around in the gliders for fun in ranked mode just to get sniped out of it or something. But this could be a really great way to rotate around the map. And now in ranked mode, the gliders will have a small amount of fuel ready because I don't think many people would take it in ranked if they had to sit there not moving for 5 seconds and fill it up with gas. But my only issue with this is that when you start making these nuanced changes, it I don't know what it does. It just, I like playing the game when the normal match is similar to the ranked match. And when you make too many nuanced changes, I feel like it's hard to remember every little detail that's different in ranked. I know this isn't like a big one, but yeah, actually, I don't think this is a big deal. I'm just thinking about like philosophically for the future of like ranked, where you don't want like a million different nuances. Well, like in normal, there's this rules and this rules and this rules, but when you go into ranked, this has 1/3 less damage and this has gas. And I mean, maybe I think I'm extrapolating a little too far there, but just something that could happen in the future. But overall, this would actually allow people to use in rank. So this is a good thing. Flare gun, you can no longer call in the BRDM. See, this is one of those things, again, another change. I don't know how I feel about this. BRDM isn't that strong if you team shoot it, but it does provide a great option for cover, mobile cover. You know, we use that to win a game where we put the BRDM in the middle of a road and blew it up. And we use that as like our own shed in a map where there was no cover, or, you know, final circle where there was like literally no cover. And we ended up winning. So, yeah, I don't know. But then again, I mean, we risked calling in the BRDM. We risked getting it. And we strategically put it there. But, you know, maybe there's been some complaints. And we have Survival Mastery. XP is now set to 1500. Increase to performance. More sound. Always take this with a grain of salt, though. PUBG's always working on sound and performance. Some of these things actually make the sound and performance better. Some of them actually cause other issues and have to be reverted. So I always kind of wait for this stuff and don't really take it too seriously. Not that, you know, I'm happy that they're doing this, but I just take it with a grain of salt until everything gets sorted out. They're updating the emote UI, in-game HUD, boost icon so that players can visually distinguish the two different stages of a running boost. Some updated splash art. Some spectate mode stuff. Hopefully in console, we should finally be getting some options for custom games now, allegedly. And we're getting a team up system. So if you're playing with randoms, you can say if you guys won the match, you can hit a button and say, do you want to team up? And you'll be sent back to the lobby together. And we have some new skins coming to the game. These are a preview of some of the Corgi skins, which is ridiculous, hilarious. And some bug fixes and replay system stuff. So that's all PC related things. But yeah, I feel like we pretty much did a good job covering all this. This is already a long enough video, but I like kind of the extended form talking about this stuff. You know, if you want to just see this in quick form, you could just look at the pictures and then wait for it to go live. So again, this is going live on PC on July 22nd. It will be on the PTS for PC tomorrow on the 15th. I'm going to be playing both those days on Twitch, twitch.tv/blitz5 and friends on PC. And then I'm actually going to miss the launch of this on console. I'm going to be away. But then when I get back, we're going to be grinding ranked season 8 and all of that stuff. So again, if you want to check out this live when it's on the PTS tomorrow, I'll be on Twitch, twitch.tv/blitz5 and friends. And as always, thank you all for watching and supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Blitz5 and peace out.